After 2 months in the mental hospital, I still wasn't any better. I sat on the dull blue and brown sofas in group therapy twice a day, pretending to listen to the same lesson I heard 2 weeks ago. I shuffled back and forth from my bedroom to the day room for meals that I didn't bother eating. I swallowed all the pills they slid across the counter. 2, 3, 7, I didn't care how many. Downing them with cold ice water in a sterile paper cup. And during my free time, I laid on the rough brown hospital blanket on my bed, staring up at the flat cream-colored ceiling as the nurse following me sat in a plastic chair in the corner, doing word searches and occasionally glancing at me to make sure I was still there. There was nothing else to do. I had called all 2 of my friends, colored every single coloring page there, watched every PG movie in the hospital, completed every word search in the building, every crossword, every Sudoku, read every single word of the newspaper that a nurse gave me, seen everything there was to see in the bleak winter that lay outside my bulletproof window. I was hopelessly, utterly bored and tired of living. There was nothing to live for. All I ever did was go to groups, take meds, sleep, and make origami. My meals were brought to me, and I wasn't allowed to go outside because I might kill myself in a child-proofed exercise yard. I was like a prisoner of my own mind, trapped, doomed to spiral into an inevitable death by suicide. I was desperate for stimulation, anything to prove that my surroundings were real, that I was real, that I wouldn't be in the hospital forever. All I ever saw were the cream-colored walls everywhere, and the useless papers that continued to pile up in my cubby. And then one day, yet another nurse came to my room to check on me, and then left the door open, unmuffling the shouts and laughter of fellow teens that I couldn't stand hearing anymore. I wanted the door closed. I wanted that door to stay closed. And I snapped. For the first time in months, I finally had a waking purpose, to figure out how to get that hospital door to close and stay closed. For days, I'd stayed up late, spending every minute of my free time sketching designs, making lists of the few materials I was allowed to use, obsessively stealing tape from the med nurse's desk, and attaching everything in my bedroom to the walls in some attempt to create a device that would keep that damn door closed. It didn't work. The door would close maybe once or twice before my invention stopped working. I was so frustrated. Now I was a failure, and the door was still being opened and left opened. Angry with myself, I decided to approach the problem from a new angle, creating a device that would keep the door open all the time. It was horribly counterproductive and absolutely hilarious. Patients and staff would peer into my room when they passed by, watching me tie my pants together, drag heavy plastic chairs around, and toss used paper cups everywhere. I scurried in and out of my bedroom, my nurse trying to keep up, as I fetched every single staff member I could find to try to close my door. As I stood behind them, they would close the door, and then the door would open again, though not a single person was touching it. Every person who saw this would step back and turn around to face me, eyebrows raised, mouth wide open, and then their shock turned into a grin. For the first time in months, I felt like something that I made was a success. So I kept going. Over the next few weeks, my bedroom was transformed. Origami boxes were taped all over the walls. Small cardboard boxes accumulated on the floor. Strands of tape hung from my cubbies, and scraps of paper were littered all over the fake wooden desk. My previously lonely bedroom had become a safe haven for me, a place to experiment and play. My focus shifted from keeping the door closed to doing anything I possibly could with my inventions. My nurse for the day would look on in amusement as I created ramps, supports, and loop-the-loops out of tape, Cardboard, paper, books, anything. Finally, after a month, I had completed my final and greatest work. I created a silly invention that successfully pulled my bathroom curtain open every time. Every time I rearranged the fallen objects and tried again, the invention worked. It was an amateur feat of engineering. I was finally allowed to be in my room by myself again, with the staff reassured that I was too busy inventing to hurt myself. Nurses started coming in to check on me more often, asking me to show them how this bizarre conglomeration of paper and tape worked. Staff to whom I hadn't spoken in months approached me during free time and asked how the invention was going. I had never told any of my fellow patients about this, but once, a curly-haired boy my age peered around my bedroom door and asked if he could come in to see my invention. I stood in the doorway, stunned, and nodded. He glanced around to make sure no staff were watching, then dashed inside, looked for a moment, and then ran back out of the room before a nurse caught him. By the time I finally left the hospital, the invention had retired from its usefulness, instead jumping a stress ball through a hoop at the end of the paper ramp course. Before leaving the hospital, I placed a new stress ball and a note explaining how to use the invention in the top paper platform. As I left, I felt sad that I'd left my hard work behind, but I also felt validated, having proved to myself that I was capable of doing something cool. It may have taken 4.5 months of hospitalization, but I did eventually pick up new skills from my time there: resourcefulness and creativity. I would not wish for that soul-sucking boredom to ever be experienced by anyone else, but I am grateful that I was able to turn boredom into the start of something new.